Russia still will pose a long-term threat to NATO countries even after a peace agreement with Ukraine, General Christopher G. Cavally, who heads up European Command and is also NATO's supreme allied commander, said this. He plans to deliver a stark warning to the Congress. General Cavally will make the case about the Russian threat by highlighting Moscow's ongoing war in Ukraine, destabilization campaign against the West, societal mobilization for war, and growing strategic partnerships with America's adversaries, such as Iran, China and DPRK, all of which together seek to undermine U.S. and allied advantages and challenge our vital interests at home and abroad, according to the unclassified version of prepared congressional testimony obtained by Kiev Post. In his prepared remarks, the four-star general will also lay out before lawmakers EUCOM's efforts in helping to prepare the alliance by increasing European ownership of European security, prioritizing warfighting, and building readiness to execute the defense plans. According to him, concern is Russia's dependence on China, Iran and North Korea to sustain its campaign in Ukraine. These countries are forming interlocking, strategic partnerships in an attempt to challenge the existing order. This is profoundly inimical to U.S. national interests. As for Russia's war in Ukraine, Cavally is planning to draw a clear picture about the scale of violence on the battlefields in Donetsk, Kursk, and Bakhmut, which he believes demonstrates Russia's willingness to employ brutal means in pursuit of its goals. Cavally will also tell the committee that while the war in Ukraine has been Russia's focus and the most visible sign of its great power ambitions, the Kremlin's strategic objectives are centered on attaining unencumbered influence in its near abroad and greater international power while diminishing the leadership and influence of the U.S. Following the old Soviet playbook, Russia is engaging in a calculated destabilization campaign through cyber attacks on infrastructure, public sabotage, targeted violence, weaponized migration, election interference, and information operations. These activities have serious consequences for the freedoms and prosperity we enjoy in the United States, the general will testify. According to him, Russia is exploiting the volatility in high-risk regions of Europe to expand its influence at the expense of the U.S.
The first serious conflict between US President Donald Trump and his right hand Elon Musk has apparently begun. The billionaire has allowed himself to publicly criticize the US leader's policies. Musk made an important statement on the air of the LA7 TV channel, where he spoke together with Deputy Prime Minister of Italy, Matteo Salvini. The billionaire criticized Trump's trade war, stressing the importance of free movement of goods for innovative companies like Tesla and expressing hope that tariffs will be lifted soon. Both Europe and the US should, in my view, ideally move to zero tariff situation, essentially creating a free trade area, Musk said. Earlier on his social network X, Musk took a rather harsh swipe at White House top trade advisor Peter Navarro, who is considered the main ideologist of Trump's tariff policy. A Harvard PhD in economics is bad, not good. He hasn't built anything himself, the Tesla CEO wrote. In early April 2025, US President Donald Trump imposed new tariffs on imports, including a 34% tariff on goods from China, prompting retaliatory measures from China. These events led to significant fluctuations in stock markets and had a noticeable impact on Elon Musk's companies, especially Tesla. Tesla shares fell about 5% after the tariffs were announced, amid investor concerns about rising production costs and the potential for lower demand for the company's products due to trade barriers. The Telegram channel, Madame Secretary, commented on the situation. The author noted the lack of unity in the White House. The tariff policy has no hidden agenda or secret plan to robotize the US, from Musk and Thiel. Trump was simply impressed by this idea from the radical segment of his administration and decided to implement it. But the stakes have risen so high that it could split not only the Republicans but also the various factions of the White House, which, by the way, are already on edge due to the operation against the Houthis and the policy towards Iran, NATO and the Ukrainian crisis, the expert noted. Donald Trump has defended sweeping tariffs on imports that sent shockwaves through global stock markets, saying, "Sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something." Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, he said jobs and investment would return to the US to make it wealthy like never before. Trump's top officials stressed that the tariffs announced last week would be implemented as planned, playing down recession fears. The US operation against Iranian-backed Houthi forces in Yemen has already cost nearly $1 billion in less than 3 weeks, but its effectiveness remains limited, raising concerns about the need for a ground operation. According to CNN, Washington maintains that the air campaign is showing results. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz confirmed that several Houthi leaders had been eliminated. However, each new airstrike appears to only strengthen the resistance. According to analysts, up to 80 Houthi military officers may have been killed in the strikes, but the leadership of their military and political factions, as well as some missile systems, remain intact. Militani media outlet says that meanwhile, the Houthis have declared their intention to expand their list of targets to include the United Arab Emirates, which supports the government opposing them in Yemen's civil war. In response, Saudi Arabia has raised its air defense forces to a state of heightened readiness. Undoubtedly, the US campaign has significantly weakened the combat capabilities of the Houthis. Michael Knights, a senior fellow at the Washington Institute, noted that the group had lost a considerable portion of its drone production capacity and was facing growing challenges in transporting equipment by sea and through Oman. Nevertheless, their ability to resist remains strong, thanks to an intricate smuggling network that continues to supply missile parts and other military equipment. According to analysts and diplomatic sources, only a ground operation can change the situation on the battlefield. The Houthi control of Sana'a, the key port of Hodeidah, and most of the northern parts of the country. However, analysts do not expect the full deployment of US ground troops. The involvement of limited special forces for coordinating strikes is more likely. The US is expected to provide logistical support and ammunition. The UAE is expected to silently support the operation, as they have been assisting government forces in Aden for a long time. Militani media outlet says that Saudi Arabia's position is less defined. Riyadh fears retaliatory strikes, as the Houthis could target oil infrastructure with drones and missiles. At the same time, the US has expedited the delivery of air defense systems to the kingdom. Diplomatic sources report that preparations are currently underway to coordinate a ground offensive from the south, east, and along the coastline. The operation is expected to involve the navies of the US and Saudi Arabia to regain control of the port of Hodeidah. It was recently reported that Iran had instructed its military to withdraw from Yemen in response to ongoing US strikes on the Houthi group. A senior Iranian official explained that the decision was intended to avoid direct confrontation with the US in the event of Iranian military casualties. Tehran believes that the Houthis may lose their influence in the near future, perhaps within months or even days, making continued support no longer viable, as explained by a source to The Telegraph. The Houthis were part of a larger network that relied on Hassan Nasrallah, the former leader of Hezbollah, and Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. However, if this structure is no longer functioning, there is no point in maintaining just one element of it.